Hello, hello. Welcome to the Asian Dating Podcast. Today we have Lori Burzak with us, matchmaker, relationship expert, and dating coach. Lori Burzak is the founder and owner of Carolina's Matchmaker. She works with singles in Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham, Charleston, Columbia, Winston-Salem, Asheville, Hilton Head, and Wilmington. Her dating and relationship expertise has been featured on the Oprah Magazine, Cosmopolitan, US News and World Report, the Charlotte Observer, and WFAE and Charlotte's NPR News Source. Lori established Carolina's Matchmaker in 2006 and proudly serves singles that represent the multicultural diversity of modern dating, including the LGBTQ plus community. She and her team of Cupids have met over 10,000 singles across the Carolinas and have helped them navigate their journey to love. Welcome to the show, Lori. How are you?
Thank you, May. I'm good. It's wonderful to see you and hear you.
Wonderful for you to be on the show. I know that you have many years of experience, and I've always looked up to you as a matchmaker who is very ethical and very caring about your clients. And to Lori's credit, and for people listening out there, I have talked to many matchmakers out there, and they said that if they were ever single, they would hire Lori as a matchmaker. So isn't that like the biggest compliment, like coming from
Yes.
other matchmakers who say,
Yeah.
you know what, if I was single, I would totally hire Lori. And that's a true story. So it's not like something I just made up because you're a guest today, but yeah, it's true, Lori. So
I have heard that before. Yes.
yeah. Tell me a little bit about your business and how you became Carolina's Matchmaker.
Well, thank you. I love what I do. I mean, I was definitely a born matchmaker. Even when I was a kid, I was trying to match up friends. And then as I got older, I matched people up with jobs. And I always I'm so curious about people and relationships. And I always look at couples and I think, well, what were they like together when they first met? And when it was like the most exciting part of their journey of love in the beginning. And I don't know. I'm just very interested in human behavior, and I have my master's in social work. And so it was like the perfect segue, but my emphasis was community organization. So looking at things from a macro view has always been like one of my specialties. And, I'm a generalist. So I love every aspect of this work, from the coaching, which we'll talk about, the matchmaking, interviewing people, convincing people that they need to hire me is a fun part of my job. And then like really following through and doing a great job for people. So, I got into it the way a lot of us matchmakers did. We just started matching people up just for fun. And then, fire struck and, people ended up falling in love. And it was like the best feeling in the world. It still is for me. So that's how I got into it. And I've just been crunching away at it for about 17 years now.
Great. That's excellent. I love matchmakers who've been doing this for a while because they're successful matchmakers. Otherwise, they would be out of business already. So I feel like if
That's
someone
true.
is at 5, 10, 15, 20 years, they love their job and they're great at it. And that's why they're still around. Because honestly, how many matchmakers have you seen come through the ranks that you meet at a meeting or something, and the next year they're like out of business and you don't see them anymore? Like I feel like I've seen a bunch of matchmakers like that, right? So
Yeah. And then also, I mean, this is a tough job. It's people think, oh, it sounds like so much fun, just match people up. But that's just a tiny part of it. I mean, May and I were talking before we started the podcast about our social media accounts and the videos and the reels that we're doing and the TikToks. And it is like, you need to be good at so many things, not just the matchmaking, but you need to be good at talking to people, listening, being able to give good advice to people, following through, being able to get along with a lot of different types of people, no matter what your religion, politics, or anything. You need to be like neutral, like Switzerland. Some people aren't that way, but I am. I'm not going to judge somebody based on something or other, unless they're not a good person, obviously. But there's so much about, you need to be a good writer, you need to be good on camera, you need to be, sometimes you got to be a little photogenic. I mean, there's so many, you need to have, there's so many pieces of this puzzle. So it's not, it's not easy. It's not easy.
But don't you think, as you've been doing this for so long, that there's actually a process that you think, if I have a female client who I help doing online dating, if she
Mhm.
just follows these rules, she's going to get there? Do you feel like as
Yeah.
time has gone by that you know the secret recipe, right? I mean, can
Yeah.
you talk a little bit about you helping women on
Mhm.
the online dating process, and what are these little secrets that give them an unfair advantage out there over the other women who don't hire you?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting because I used to take on men and women for matchmaking. And then about 3 years ago or so, I decided, you know what, I'm going to take a pause from providing matchmaking to women, and I'm going to focus solely on helping them with online dating management. And part of the reason was, well, it was at the beginning of the pandemic, and I just wasn't throwing my parties anymore. I just wasn't interfacing with enough men to be able to provide the service to the women. But then I realized I was having more success with women with online dating rather than matchmaking. And even when they did hire me for matchmaking, and they were getting perhaps upset about the men, for whatever reasons, if those wasn't working out with the men I was introducing them to, when I got them online and the men started to pursue them online, it was just a very different feel for the women. And I started to recognize that if a man is attracted to you, so we're talking about heterosexual relationships right now, obviously. We could talk about other populations as well. But anyway, with this particular instance, I have found that if a man is interested in a woman with online dating, they're attracted to their photos. Most likely, if the photos are accurate, then they will be attracted to them in real life. And then everything else needs to fall into place, obviously, but you're kind of like 85% there. For women, on the other hand, women are a little more fluid. They're able to have a little bit of a more expansive view. Sometimes if they're not attracted initially, that attraction can grow, or it could go the opposite direction, even if they are attracted, but if they don't like the guy's personality, or they don't have the ambition they're looking for, or they don't have any of the core values or, qualities that they're looking for in terms of future goals, then the woman can be just totally turned off. So what I started to recognize was, if we can package, for a woman, a really good online dating profile, with including styling and photos, including the makeup, everything, help them with their profile, get them online, and then really walk them through how to be effective with online dating, then we're like 95% successful.
Yeah.
So it's been a really incredible program to be able to offer. And I do it in a lot of different ways. I'll do like a full 3-month package where, like, every week, we're looking through Match. I like Match.com. It's the biggest one, and I love their interface the most. We're finding 5 guys a week for the women. We're Zooming with the women every week. We're talking to them about their communications and messaging and best styles. We're running background checks. I mean, I'm helping my women get phone numbers. I'm running a background check. Where's the guy live? Check him out on social media. Like, do a deep dive before you even meet them, because safety first, period. And then we're talking, and then it turns into relationship coaching. Okay, you've been dating the guy a while. Let's see, if you can just, both of you had that conversation about getting offline and really trying to pursue a relationship. So it's a very, very comprehensive program, my 3-month program. That's kind of, I love that program so much.
So when the women are dating a guy for 2 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, when do you think is a good time that they should be exclusive or have a conversation about exclusivity?
I have observed with all couples anecdotally that when they go out on 5 dates or more, it shows that it has potential to turn into a relationship of 6 months or more. So what I always tell people is, date multiple people at a time, keep it light in terms of intimacy. So don't sleep don't sleep with everybody, because that'll, like, turn your brain off to dating other people, in my, estimation. So just keep it romantic light, and then you can date as many people as you want. You're not leading anyone on too much in one direction or another. and keeps your head straight. And then you get to observe, okay, say you're kind of communicating with three different people at the same time. All right, I like the way that this guy communicates with me. He's texting me, he's calling me, he's asking me out on a regular basis. I always know when I'm going to see him again. Okay, that's great. Then there's this guy where, it's hot and heavy when I see him, but then he's like AWOL the rest of the week. That doesn't make me feel good. That makes me feel anxious. That's not a good guy for me to be dating. And the thing is if you're only dating one person and that's all you're getting, then it's like you're taking breadcrumbs and you might think, well, I don't have anyone else right now, so I'll keep pursuing him. But if you've got two other guys besides that one and the other guys are treating you better, then you're able to really be objective and say, I like this guy, I'm attracted to him, but I don't like the way I feel when I'm with him. And so that's what I really want to help my clients do, is like really observe, how are they dating? It helps having like a middleman there, like with what I'm doing with them. How am I feeling around this? Are there red flags that are coming up? How is it reminding me of a past relationship? Am I blocking myself? Am I sabotaging myself in any way? Because I've watched people do that, and I point things out to them. So what's good about hiring me is I and my staff also, we all do this. We're very straightforward and transparent in the way that we give advice and coaching, and we try to get people to the finish line.
I love it. I love it. That's great advice that you give them. So let's say you had a sister or a aunt or a mom or really good girlfriend that you want to get her on a platform to start dating.
Yes.
What are like 5 things right off the bat that you would say, you got to do this based on my many, many years of experience to get you to the finish line?
Mm-hmm.
You need to do these 5 things. What are those 5 things, Lori?
Well, first of all, you need to have a really great profile picture. Okay. So a really great headshot, and it needs to be recent. It needs to be within 3 to 6 months old, period. You also need a really great full-length photo. I don't believe in filters. Just have a friend meet you out at the park and take some pretty pictures of you, period. And that goes for men also. So men and women need good pictures outside. If you're going to use a picture, I'm not a big fan, but if you're going to use a picture of you with a group of people, just make sure it's pretty obvious who you are. But otherwise, I really don't love that so much. It's hard to pick out who the person is. Don't wear like sunglasses. You just want to show who you are. Do have like one photo that shows you doing some kind of action shot. But the main thing is, you just want to look yourself. So the photo is the most important thing. And then in terms of the profile writing, don't say anything negative. Don't talk about what you don't want. Just talk about what you do want, and make sure to talk about what you offer to a relationship. What do you bring to the table? Not just like what you're looking for. Another good tip is I don't recommend, talking too much about politics and religion in your piece, unless it's something that is a non-negotiable. And in that case, it is important. So, I would pop that in there, but try to be as open as you can be in your profile so that you can attract as many people, and then you have more options. Obviously there's great filters out there that when you're doing your searching, you can look for the particular things that you're looking for. So the main thing is to be, show your personality, your humor in the profile write-up, have the wonderful pictures. And then when you're searching for people, try to be as open as possible in terms of things like height, things like geographics, that type of thing. And then really hone in on the particulars, if you sway one way or another in terms of religion or politics. Stick with what's important to you, but try to stay open. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay, so photos, good body shot, good headshot. Try not to take a picture with a bunch of friends in a group shot, especially not with friends that look cuter than you or more handsome than you, right?
Exactly.
But it shows that you have great looking friends.
There you go.
Profile writing, I like that, where you really don't talk about what you don't want, but focus more on the positives, like what you do want, so your profile doesn't sound negative. Okay, that's 2 great tips. What else?
I would also recommend that when you're messaging people, that you don't straight away give out your phone number. Try to keep the communication on the app as much as possible. So if you're on Match or you're on Hinge or whatnot, or Bumble, keep all the communication there.
Why is
But
that?
because people are most motivated when they're on the app. Once you exchange phone numbers, all of a sudden it kind of devolves into, hey, how's it going? How's your day? Good morning, good night. And it just doesn't turn into anything. So they're most motivated when you're on the app. So try to keep it there until you set up your date. And then I wouldn't set up a date unless you really feel like you've got a good sense of them. And that means like really going back and forth, like 6 to 9 times of like paragraphs where you get a sense of their communication, their humor. Do they sound normal? I mean, because that's what people are just looking for. They're just looking for nice, normal people. And then hopefully there'll be a spark and hopefully they'll have other things. So at least it's a good first date. But you can tell, by the way, if you're being scammed or spammed by the language. It's one thing if somebody forgets a word, like it's rare if you think about it to forget a word. But if you notice multiple commas out of place, or if you see that they're using language that doesn't sound typical, like you need to really pay attention to your gut when you're online dating. If it doesn't sound right, it's not right. If somebody comes in hot and heavy with the hello dear, you're so beautiful dear, a very flowery communication, that's not the way people normally speak. We're not living in that kind of world. And it shows that they're just looking for a hookup potentially, but B, they're probably not real. So you need to be like very cautious and very intuitive when you're online dating.
So you're saying that when people are doing online dating, they're getting someone scamming them if
Mhm.
the verbiage is weird? Like, I don't understand.
Yes.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, if it sounds like hello, if it sounds like very, very formal English, but they claim that they're from the US, but it doesn't sound right as the way that you normally speak, pay attention. It probably isn't somebody that's from here. So you need to be careful of the people that are not from here that are trying to scam you for your money, A, and then you also need to be careful of the people that are just looking for a hookup.
Mhm.
And that's a totally different scenario. And they might sound normal and everything. It might start off great, but then it turns into I'm thinking about you as I'm lying here, wishing you were here next to me. It's like, dude, we haven't met yet. You're
Right.
not allowed to be. I mean, sure, you can fantasize, but don't lead with that. If somebody is truly looking for a relationship and not a hookup, then that shouldn't be the person that you're trending towards, because that's all it's going to be.
Right. So when people are trying to get you to get off the app, are they usually scammers that way because they don't want you reporting about them on whatever?
No,
No?
no. I think people just want to get off the app because they think it's easier just to be able to text than to have to go through the app to text. But that's okay. Just because someone wants to get off the app doesn't mean that they get off the app unless you really want to. Now, the only way to be able to run a background check on somebody, however, sometimes is to get off the app and to get a phone number.
Mhm.
So I would suggest to do that just right before the date. Just be like, yeah, looking forward to meeting you, blah, blah, blah. Let me grab your number. Just so that if I can't find you, and then run a background check.
Yeah. So you advise all your clients to run a background check before they meet the guy?
I do. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I think so. I like been verified for background checks.
Yeah.
Most of the time people are clear, but once in a while they're not. And if somebody has a assault and battery charge, maybe you don't want to be meeting them.
Right. Right.
Sorry to say it,
Yeah.
So, you need to be very, very careful when you're online dating. You just can't take a chance. I mean, there's just been unfortunately too many incidences. So I'm like very, very, very careful with my clients and really trying to make sure everything is clear. So I'm like very, very hands-on. And I think that's what my clients really appreciate. Sometimes, I mean, I think that the fact that I help them with this, listen, there's no guarantee with the background check, but at least it's one thing more than people are usually doing for themselves.
True. True.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you suggest that a client puts their real name on the online dating, like for their
So that's a
username?
great question. I think it's fine if it's a, a regular name that is common. Um, but if it's an unusual name, I don't recommend it because that means that other people can be looking you up and you don't necessarily want to be stalked on LinkedIn and social media um, because you're on that. So you need to be cautious. So I think it's perfectly fine to create like a nickname for yourself. And then you can let the people know that you're talking to what your real name is. That's fine. But I mean, for the general people,
Yeah.
that are just looking at your profile, they don't all get to have access to you if it's an unusual name. So it's up to you.
So how many dates should someone go on per month, in your opinion? If they're actively dating, how many dates should they be going out on?
Well, if you're really actively looking, I mean, I think you should be open to going on a couple dates a week. Um, and if it's new dates, don't like burn yourself out though. Sometimes people get on and they're like, oh my gosh, I've been on like 5 dates this week. I mean, that's just the quickest way to a burnout. Don't do that. Like it's on your time, it's your schedule, it's what you're looking for. If you're kind of like, this guy seems really great. I'm going to go out with him Friday night. I mean, I had so I'll give you an example. I had a brand new client hire me. She's a widow. She had not dated at all for many, many years. She was married for like 28, 30 years. Unfortunately, her husband passed away. She's like early 60s, late 50s, and she's hadn't been on a date in a long time. So she started communicating with different people. She's excited about who she found, by the way. I always think it's interesting when people are like, oh, there's no one out there. It's like, really? Is there really no one out there? I think there is. So there are. And she found like 2 or 3 different guys that she was interested in that she went back and forth with. And there were other men too. And for different reasons, we decided they weren't the right ones. One guy she went out with, it was not a good match. So that we pushed that away. Another guy she went out with, she liked him, but unfortunately he wasn't that into her. So that one didn't work out. She has another guy that she's going to be meeting with. He's on a trip right now, but they have plans to meet. And then there was this other gentleman that she went out with that she's excited about seeing again. And she did all this within like a 2-week period. And it was good. It was good for her. It gave her like some excitement. She felt like she was doing something about her love life. Honestly, even if she went through the 3 months of working with me and it didn't work out, I think she'd have a good experience out of it because she felt like she was doing something and not just like sitting at home kind of wishing that she was doing something. I feel like the journey of it sometimes surpasses even, the end result with many things in life, including online dating. And I'll tell you that oftentimes people will hire me for online dating or matchmaking and they'll start meeting people, they'll start getting some coaching, they'll start feeling better about themselves, and they meet somebody organically. A friend matches them up, they meet somebody at a party or at a club or something that they've joined, and then they lean on what they learned during the time period I've worked with them, and they are successful with their new relationship. And I count that as a success for Carolina's Matchmaker.
Oh, of course. I mean, your impact, your guidance, your support, your cheerleading, that just gives them confidence when they come back out in the dating world. I think that's so important, is just to feel like they have a cheerleader in their corner and someone supporting them and someone who's giving them genuine good advice. That's the part that's important, because I always tell my single friends, like, don't get single dating advice from other single people. Get it from married people. Get it from people in a long-term relationship who knows about the ups and downs of a relationship, who can actually give you sound advice. That's always been my opinion about that. So,
Yeah.
okay, okay. So what else about online dating? Do guys have trouble online dating, or you think, is it women
Yeah.
have more of an advantage because they can look good, they could dress up, they could put makeup on, and then men just don't really get into that? But aren't there more single women out there in the US than single men? So, I mean, do the men have advantage with online dating, in your opinion?
I think that men don't always know what photos to post. They're not like big into selfies and getting pictures everywhere they go like women are. So they have less collateral marketing, let's call it a marketing collateral to use images. So I'll often send my men that hire me for online dating to the photographer and to my stylist to make sure they look cute and get some nice shots of them. I love, like, I had a client recently and he took pictures in the park with the photographer with a couple different changes of clothing. It looked adorable. And he's been attracting so many more women on his Hinge app than ever before. And he was like, yeah, that's definitely what I need. Because the pictures he had before just weren't good. And I met him in person. I'm like, you're adorable. Like, I'm shocked that you're not getting more attention. And that was why.
Yeah.
So I think that, and a lot of guys will like take pictures of themselves like in the mirror in the bathroom, which is hysterical. Everybody always jokes about it. It's like, no, please don't do that. Especially the shirtless bathroom selfies. Bad. It's just bad form. It's like, really? And then the pictures of them hunting or fishing. I mean, I get it if you're really a fisherman, that's fine. But really, does every guy have to show a picture of them with their fish? I don't know. It's just funny. I mean, unless they say like something cute, like, here's the mandatory fish picture, like, joking about it, because it is kind of a joke amongst women, like, oh, there's another one. But I think that men just need to up their game in terms of their photo, and they just don't know what they're doing. So
Right.
that's like a really, really big part of it. But I think that everyone has an advantage when they're online dating. Just need to stay positive, just act normally, and also kind of know your place. Just because you're on a platform with somebody, if they're not kind of equal to you in terms of looks and education and career and just the way you interact in the world, it doesn't mean that they're going to be attracted to you and vice versa. So, like, kind of choose somebody that would normally be somebody that you could date, in your friend group or whatnot, not like the superstar that it's that you would never get a chance at anyway. I mean, you could certainly go for it, but I guess, be reasonable in your selection and choose people that are like, attainable, instead of just always going for the gold and feeling rejected or something. I think that sometimes, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. But what you said is true. If a guy he's normally a 7 and he wants to date at 8 or a 9 or a 10. But what an easy solution is for him to just go get professional photos with a photographer to up his game a little bit, right? Like, go to a stylist at Nordstrom and get your
Mhm.
outfit revamped. If you want to pursue the women who are 9 and 10s a little bit out of your league, you need to do the homework to get there. Otherwise, if you're going to be lazy and you're just going to get regular selfies and photos that your grandma took of you or your friends took of you at dinner, then you're going to be realistic and date the people who are at your level, right? I mean, that's basically what you're saying, is be realistic. But if you are realistic, you can actually get a lot of quality dates. I believe that if you're not dating above where you think you should be, you will get a lot of dates just by being genuine and taking some time to put your profiles together. I feel like
Mhm.
sometimes even when people submit profiles to me as a matchmaker, they're not even taking the time to fill out my basic questions. It's like,
Yeah.
if you don't even invest 20 minutes in filling
Mhm.
out your profile, why should I take the time to find you somebody? That's kind of how I feel. So,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the same way with online dating, is like you get what you put into it. If you're really
Yeah.
looking for somebody, then really take some time and craft a nice profile for
Yeah.
your dating profile and get some friends to help you. I feel like if you get a single girlfriend to help you, that would be
Mhm.
great. If you're a
Mhm.
guy, and
Mhm.
vice versa, like,
Mhm.
you should have some friends of the opposite sex that can help
Mhm.
you, right? Like,
That's
that's
right.
another red flag. If you don't have any friends of the opposite sex, like, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think also sometimes people are online dating for a while and they'll keep their same photos up there for like 5 years or something. It's like, "Oh, dude, still with that photo?" And it always cracks me up when men, it's always men that do this, by the way. they'll put a picture of them, like it'll be like a 65-year-old man. He'll put a picture of himself in there from college. Like, look what a young stud I was back in the day. Can you fall in love with that? You know what I mean? It's like
So
they're transporting you through time.
how often should someone replace their photos if they're online dating for a couple years now? Or some people are
Yeah, every 6 months you should be having new pictures up. And honestly, the more you change out your pictures, also the more the algorithm is going to push you up, because it'll acknowledge that you're working on it and that you're always improving your profile. So it'll work to your advantage.
What other algorithm tips are there? Like, what other ins and outs of online dating that we don't normally know about?
So it's good to be as open as you can in terms of when you're doing the searching. So, like, for example, just be really careful around the parameters that you put for height. So, a lot of women are like, okay, I really want to date a tall man. I'm going to put 5'11" plus or 5'10" plus. And the thing is, there's a lot of great guys that are 5'9", 5'8". They could be wonderful husbands, fathers, grandfathers one day. I mean, my sweet dad of blessed memory, he was, I don't know, 5'6" or something. And he was the most incredible man in the universe. I'm sure you'd probably say the same about your sweet dad, right? And short men, right? And actually, I don't know, was your dad a short man?
He was tall. He was like,
He was
he was like 5'11". Yeah.
okay. Never mind. My dad was a shorty though. And I'm like, God, I mean, if somebody anyone would be so lucky to have my father as a husband. And so I feel like people are short-sighted. There you go. Using a pun, around height. And now I understand women that are like, if they're very tall women, like say a 5'9" or 5'10" height woman wants to date a guy her height or a little bit taller, I get it. But a 5'3" woman that wants to date a guy who's 6 foot taller, give me a break. No, like lower the height standard so that you can sort of be more open to meeting more people. So the more open you are in terms of parameters like that, the more people are going to come across, your feed. So you'll be able to have more options of people to date. So keep it really wide, even geographics. If normally you're looking for within 25 miles where you live, expand it to 50 miles and see who comes up. There could be a great guy or great woman that's living in a smaller town right outside of yours, and you would miss them if you kept your parameters tight around geographics. So just different things like that once again, don't focus on these particular items, don't focus on core values. It's more like superficiality items. Expand it for that, but always keep your value system in terms of what might be especially important to you. Religion, for example, like don't ever cut yourself off from that.
Right. But the things that you can negotiate are height, right? Distance.
Yeah.
Things like
Or
that.
wanting to have kids, like that's a really important thing. So, and also don't date men that are separated or women who are separated. Let them get through their divorce and then think about, even if they look phenomenal. Like today I was looking at a guy for one of my clients. I'm like, oh, he's just the kind of guy that would be great for her, but no, we're not going to do it. He's got kids.
Why?
Like, because people are in transition. They're not even divorced. They could get back together with their wives, period. They've got kids, it's a muddy time. It's a time where people are dealing with divorce attorneys and fighting and emotions and a lot of different things. And the fact of the matter is they're not ready. They're not even able to get married. And they need some time to heal and to date. You don't want to be a rebound person. It is a rare thing that the first person out of the gate that they date is the one for them. So give them the space they need. Pass on the separated people.
I agree. I so agree. Well, thank you, Lori, for your time today. It's always a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Talking with you about dating. So tell us how people can find you if they're listening. How do they find Lori?
Yeah, they can find me at Carolina's Matchmaker on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn. Could be under my name, Lori Burzak on LinkedIn, actually. Twitter, Carolina's Match. And I offer all sorts of programs, from like a small boot camp program that's, relatively inexpensive for 6 hours of virtual training, to a big program that is a 3-month long program for women and men, and then matchmaking for men.
Very nice, very nice. And if there are any ladies out there listening, you can also go to twoasianmatchmakers.com, fill out a profile with me. I'm always on the lookout for amazing Asian women to set up with my amazing guys. So thank you so much for joining me, and please subscribe or like the video and the podcast, and see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.